everybody, my name is Leesa and my vagina tore in half. Yes, my vagina tore in half, not once, but twice, without an epidural. Lucky me. And I'm here to tell you all about it. So we're gonna talk about how it feels, how to prevent it, and what you can do to help make it feel better if you have one. Will tearing happen to you during childbirth? Unfortunately, probably, especially if you're a first-time mother. Over 95% of first-time mothers do tear to some degree, and that's just because the tissue, it's made to stretch, but it's the first time it's really stretching that much. The more babies you have, the less common it is to tear. Now, as a postpartum nurse for over 11 years, if I get a first-time mom whose perineum and vagina is intact, as we call it, where she did not tear, that is like, we are celebrating. Do you guys feel like I'm more trustworthy in my scrubs? Is this better? Please leave a comment for me below. I respond to every single comment that I get. I just really want to keep things loose around here, not loose down there, like around here, in our conversation. I have so many more videos coming your way. You guys have no idea. So if you're enjoying this video, please remember to like or subscribe. Oh my God, just get on with it. Talk about the vaginal tears already. Yes, okay, I know. So moving on, there are 4 degrees of vaginal tears. Okay, so I am going to show you the 4 degrees. Don't mind my unmanicured nails. Don't look at, just don't look. Don't look. You're not supposed to be looking at that. You're supposed to be looking at this super, you're supposed to have your mind blown at this super professional diagram I'm about to. When you tear, it is when the baby is crowning. So when the baby is crowning, that's the baby's head coming out. Here's our baby. It's so dirty. My kids have been playing with it. Crowning, here it is. My fingers, my hands around the head are the vagina, the crowning. It's also called when you get the ring of fire. It is on fire. Ladies, things are, woo, okay. It's hot, it burns. This is called the perineum, the perineal area. It's that little flat spot that's in between your vagina and your rectum. What's this gonna do a star there? It looks like some kind of sick circus. Okay, stay with me. We're going places here. If you're worried about having an episiotomy, don't worry about an episiotomy happening. I have taken care of just a couple of postpartum patients in over 11 years that ever got episiotomies. My sister, who's been a labor and delivery nurse for 6 years, said she's seen, maybe just 2 or 3, and it only happens if there is an emergency. Baby's heart rate is down. They call it, heart decelerations. You need to get that baby out. That baby's stuck and it needs to get out. And oftentimes it's stuck with things like the shoulders won't come out. It's called shoulder dystocia, and it's very scary. And often an OBGYN or the midwife will do an episiotomy to help just make room to get that baby out. And it usually on the side here. I've never been in delivery where I've seen an episiotomy, but my sister who has said that she will just never forget the sound of those large surgical scissors cutting that tissue. Okay, so anyways, don't worry about that. Just push it out of your head. Be worried about, how you're going to tear naturally. So where we're tearing is between the vagina hole and the butthole, and so the perineum area. So if you have there's 4 degrees, like I told you. If you have a 1st degree tear, it's just about like that, okay? That's a 1st degree tear. The 1st degree tear is so common and not a big deal at all. You might not even get a stitch. It's just like a little tiny, it's just through the skin of the vagina. I'm using my kids' scented markers. It smells really good. Blueberry. Okay, now we're on to grape. Grape is 2nd degree. 2nd degree tear starts to tear through muscles, okay? So 2nd degree tears, they kind of suck. Like, I had a 2nd degree tear with my 1st and my 2nd, and the recovery sucks. Very swollen, very sore, and it took at least a couple of weeks just to start to feel normal down there again. Your body's having to heal torn muscles at that point. So second degree tear, guaranteed some stitches. Let's talk about this because women are so scared of tearing. I was too. I did not feel the tear during childbirth at all. All the way, tore through the vaginal wall and down into the perineal muscle. Didn't even feel the moment that happened because, as I said before, I was unmedicated. I didn't have an epidural. I was feeling everything, and that pain was 11 out of 10. It was just part of the whole package of pain. I had my first 2 babies that had second degree tears, and then my third child, I did not tear at all, and that's called being intact. There was no difference between staying intact and tearing to the second degree in labor. Honestly, it was terrible without tearing, and it was terrible with tearing. Like, there was no difference. The difference came in recovery. After the baby was born, I had to wait while my provider stitched me up down there, and that was quite uncomfortable. After you have a baby, it's just very sensitive down there, and you get a big old needle with lidocaine to help numb you up for when they do the stitches. So you don't feel the stitches being done, but you do feel the pokes, and that was really not a great experience. And then in recovery, of course, the recovery being in the postpartum period, especially for those first 2 weeks, when I did not tear and my vagina stayed intact, my recovery was just like a dream. I just felt like the normal, like your vagina feels pretty like open and gaping for several days, and then it slowly starts to like go back to normal. But with the second degree tear, that was like, that was hard. That was much harder. This is a watermelon. Ooh, that smells good. The third degree tear extends into the muscle of the rectum. It is a very extensive repair. And let me tell you, as a postpartum nurse, we didn't see third or fourth degrees very often. Usually the most common was first and second. Third was definitely more rare. And then, God forbid, you tear to a fourth degree. Oh gosh, this marker sucks. Fourth degree goes all the way through the rectal muscle. It goes all the way through your anal sphincter. It is just a tear all the way through the entire perineum. And let me tell you, in my 11 years of being a postpartum nurse, I have seen this twice. Personally. So the odds are definitely on your side that this is not gonna happen. And if it has happened to you, I am so sorry. I have a girlfriend who had a fourth degree tear, and it was so bad that when she got pregnant again, she actually did a scheduled elective C-section because she was just traumatized by this. When you have a fourth degree tear, you may also have some fecal incontinence. Everything's open up down there. I mean, the healing is very long, much longer than 2 weeks. Okay, so let's talk about how we can avoid tearing. There's a lot of talk nowadays about you can avoid vaginal tearing during childbirth with perineal massage. Very few providers, midwives, and OBGYNs still do the perineal massage. I mean, maybe it can't hurt. Try it, but no research has shown it to be effective. But there is definitely some things you can do to help from tearing. Pacing your labor, pacing the pushing stage, because the faster and the harder that baby comes out, that tissue just isn't as worked up and stretched out and prepared for that force to come through. Really just giving your body and your tissues time to stretch. It is made to stretch, that is made to have a baby. Trust that it will stretch on its own. And especially someone who is having an unmedicated birth like me, where I was just a wild freaking banshee out of my mind. The pain was so bad, I just wanted the baby out because I had You know, I knew once that baby came out that the pain would just absolutely disappear. So I was just pushing as hard as I could. But if you have a provider, an OBGYN or midwife who really knows what they're doing, who feels like the baby is stable enough, that the baby's tolerating labor well, the baby doesn't need to come out super, super quickly, that provider will pace you, will pace you, will tell you to stop pushing or stop pushing so hard, and give your body and give your tissues a break and time to start stretching. Pace the pushing, pace the labor. And then the second thing that you can do that is really gonna help lower your odds of tearing or tearing really bad is not to push on your back. Women were not made to labor on their back. Just gravity is just working against you. It's how OBGYNs prefer patients to deliver, just because it's just the best position for providers to visualize the baby and what is actually going on. But really, pushing baby out on your back, you are more likely to tear. Don't do labor on your hands and knees. You can watch my other video here about a really awful thing that happened while I was doing labor on my hands and knees. It was a consequence of that position for sure, and I want women to know about it so it doesn't happen to them. Either squatting or side lying is going to be the best way to push your baby out and really prevent tears as much as possible. Okay, so we are finally part of the video to tell you the best tricks in the industry of how to care for your vaginal laceration or tear. So one of the first things after you tear that your nurse is going to give you is probably an ice pack. Now at the hospital I worked at, they actually had a pack where you would fill it up with crushed ice, but another place that I worked at also had these awesome ones where you just pop it and it gets cold. These are so awesome. They are made for your perineal area. These are really important for like the first 24 hours for your swelling. They will provide you just so much comfort. I know you can watch some really awesome videos on YouTube about how to make your own padsicles, ice packs for the win down there after you tear. Another one of the first things you'll be using the first time you go to the bathroom, and then every time you go to the bathroom, will be a Peri bottle. I couldn't find my Peri bottle that I had from the hospital, just like a little squirt bottle. Those are a little harder because they don't have the angle to spray up to your vagina, so you're kind of like, and it's kind of like the water's having a little bit of difficulty pointing upwards. So that's why this Freedom Mama design is awesome. Pricey, 15 bucks. Sorry, I don't know. The one that they give you at free at the hospital is gonna be fine. You really don't need this one. I mean, I'm sure it's a little more effective because it does point upwards, but you can get away with the free one, totally, believe me. Dermaplas, this was like the bomb after I had my babies. It was so soothing, like a little numbing. I love this. But if you don't like that there's benzocaine and menthol, and you like to do things a little more natural, there's so many other things you could get. There's lots of just really awesome natural perineum sprays. I haven't tried this one personally, but I have heard that this one's very good from Earth Mama. Another really soothing, great thing for vaginal tears, and even like if you haven't torn, like please, all of this stuff is also gonna be super awesome if you have an intact perineum and like there's no tearing, because even with an intact perineum, your vagina's still gonna feel like swollen and sore, and anything to soothe it is gonna be nice. Next, we have witch hazel pads. Also something so soothing. This is one of the brand names that's really well known called Tux. It's medicated cooling pads. People also use these for hemorrhoids. It's what they really market it for. It says hemorrhoidal pads with witch hazel, but everybody knows that postpartum, these are awesome. They look like this. They're nice little moist pads, and oh my goodness, they're just so cooling. I like to do like a little stoplight. You just put 3 on your pad. It can be an ice pack or your pad. And we'll just do 3 in a row here. you're going to the bathroom, every single time you go to the bathroom, this is how it's gonna work. You get your spray bottle with either warm or cool water. Usually women prefer warm, but you could do cool if that's your thing. And go ahead and spray your perineal area, your vaginal area. And so just get it nice and clean. Just lots of blood, and it helps clean it off. And then you will you will have your little pad or ice pack, pad sickle with your witch hazel or Tux pads on it, and you will take your little perineal spray and spray your area down there, and then put this inside your underwear and just lift it up, and oh, it's so good. It's so good. If your tearing is really, bothering you and you want to take some medicine for, the first line of defense is going to be some good old ibuprofen. 600 milligrams every 6 hours is typically what the providers will order for you. This is generic ibuprofen. You also hear the brand names of ibuprofen that are very popular, like Aleve or Advil or Motrin. Why this is chosen over, say, Tylenol is because ibuprofen is in the drug class of NSAIDs, which stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. These drugs help lower inflammation, and that's what's going on down below. It's just all the tissues are very inflamed. So this will help with the inflammation. So it's not just like, this isn't just like a pain medication that's masking pain you're having. It's actually helping lower the inflammation in the tissues. And then also stool softeners. These are important just to stay regular. You don't want to feel like you need to strain to have a bowel movement when you have a tear. So you just want it to come out very effortlessly, and you definitely, please do not hold it in. Just the more you hold it in, the harder it's going to become and impacted it's going to become. So as soon as you feel any kind of urge to go, just do it. Don't be scared. I have never, ever seen a patient who has torn their stitches by having a bowel movement. Never. So just, I know it's scary. So many women are so scared to have that first bowel movement, and it's just normal. It's so normal. So many are scared, and I've never seen anything bad happen. It's just gonna help the stool be soft so you can pass it easily. And if it gets too soft, like diarrhea, then you know, okay, it's time to stop the stool softeners, don't need them anymore. But with that said, with the stool softeners and trying to keep your bowel movements regular is to drink lots of water, eat a high fiber diet, lots of fruits and vegetables. Staying hydrated is very, very important in the postpartum period, not only just for regular bowel movements, but also if you're breastfeeding or pumping, you definitely need so much extra water for your milk supply. Then there is something called a Sitz bath. And a Sitz bath is when you are in a sitting position, either in a bathtub or over the toilet, and you have some warm or cool, whatever feels more comfortable to you, water up in your perineal area. So you can do that in just a shallow bath. Actually, Sitz, it sounds like the word sits, like you're sitting down, but it's S-I-T-Z. It's a German word, sitzen, and it actually means to sit. Here is a Sitz bath, and it looks like old men have torn vaginas too at times, and so she's comforting him, and isn't that sweet? So the Sitz bath. So it goes under your toilet seat, and then the water is in this bag, and the tube runs through here, and then it sprays up to your perineal area. I think it's probably just easier to take a shallow bath, but I guess if you don't have a bathtub at home, then this is the perfect solution. I'm bringing this one up not as a recommendation. It's something I want you to avoid, but it might be recommended to you, and it's like a little donut cushion, and just looks like a little inner tube. I don't recommend these. It says that it relieves pressure in the sensitive lower areas. Honestly, it doesn't relieve pressure, it actually creates pressure. As you can imagine, if your buttocks is on the tube and everything that is swollen in the perineal area is like hanging down in that hole, and it's just like collecting all of the interstitial fluid, and all of the blood is kind of pooling like more to the area where you don't want it to. But I get the concept is to not have hard pressure on your perineal area when it's swollen, but this will actually cause it to swell more. You know, you will find the position that you are comfortable in. If you're feeling really swollen down there from your tear, you know, you might want to kind of sit more on one buttocks over to the side than the other, or just side lying. If you are breastfeeding, you can feed the baby side lying. That was actually one of my favorite ways to breastfeed. It was so nice and relaxing. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope I see you in the next video.